Welcome back, everybody, to another deep dive. Today, we're going back in time to ancient Babylon,
Ooh, ancient Babylon.
a city known for its incredible wealth. And we're going to be using The Richest Man in Babylon by George S. Clason as our guide.
Okay.
Now, this book might have been written in the 1920s, but its wisdom on building wealth is surprisingly relevant even today.
It's amazing how Clason uses those parables
Yeah.
set in ancient Babylon to illustrate these timeless financial principles.
Yeah.
It's almost like a crash course in
Great.
personal finance,
Yeah.
but with chariots and hanging gardens.
I love it. It's so cool. So picture this. You're in Babylon, a city of dazzling contrasts. There are these magnificent palaces and temples, but also areas of just abject poverty. It makes you wonder,
Yeah.
how did some people thrive in this environment while others really struggle?
Yeah, that's the central question I think that this book explores. And it does so through the stories of two friends, Bansi, a chariot builder, and Kabi, a musician. Yeah. And both are hardworking and skilled, yet they can barely make ends meet. They dream of a better life. Bansi wants a comfortable home.
Yeah.
Kabi longs for a magnificent lyre, but they're just stuck financially.
It's so relatable, though, right? Like, we all
Yeah.
have those financial goals we're working towards. But for Bansir and Kabi, their frustration leads them to seek advice from Arkad, the richest man in Babylon.
The OG rich guy.
Yeah. And what I find so interesting is that Arkad wasn't born wealthy.
Right.
He built his fortune from nothing.
Exactly. And I think his story really emphasizes that wealth isn't just about luck or inheritance.
Right.
It's about discipline, saving, smart investments, and learning from those who've already achieved success.
Yeah.
He even tells a story about how he lost all of his first savings because he took bad advice from a brickmaker on buying jewels.
Oh, that's got to be a tough lesson to learn. It makes you realize that seeking advice from the right people is just so crucial.
Right.
Like, you wouldn't ask a plumber for medical advice, right?
Exactly.
Why would you take financial advice from someone who isn't an expert?
Precisely. And that's why Arkad stresses that you need to seek guidance from people who have a proven track record in the area that you're interested in investing in. But he doesn't stop there.
Right.
He goes on to share 7 key cures for what he calls a lean purse. And these are like principles that are surprisingly relevant even today,
Yeah, they really are.
even though they were written like almost a century ago.
All right, so let's dive into these cures. The first one is start thy purse to fattening, and it emphasizes the power of consistent saving, something that we all know is important but sometimes struggle with.
Yeah, for sure. This cure is all about paying yourself first. It's about setting aside a portion of your income, ideally at least 10%, before you even think about spending. So think of it like this. You just automatically transfer a portion of your paycheck to your savings account each month, almost like you're paying a bill.
Yeah.
It takes a decision kind of out of your hands, which can be really helpful.
Yeah, for sure. So Arkad illustrates this principle with a story about an egg merchant who's constantly wondering, where did all my money go?
Yeah.
And through tracking his expenses, the merchant realizes he has all these like small unnecessary expenditures
Right.
that are draining his income.
That brings up a crucial point. Being aware of your spending habits
Yeah.
is the first step
Yeah.
towards controlling them.
Yeah.
Have you ever used a budgeting app or even like a simple spreadsheet to track where your money goes?
I actually have, and it is eye-opening to
Right.
see where your money actually goes.
Yeah.
And it leads perfectly to the second cure, control thy expenditures,
Yeah.
which is all about differentiating between needs and desires. And creating a budget can really help with that. It helps align your spending with what your priorities are.
It's not about deprivation.
Yeah.
It's just about conscious spending. I like to think of it like this. You know how in a garden,
Okay.
you want to cultivate the plants that'll bear the fruit you want and not waste your resources on weeds?
I love that.
Right.
That's such a good analogy. It's
Yeah.
about making choices that actually support your financial goals, not just spending mindlessly.
Exactly. And Arkad even emphasizes that adjusting your budget over time
Yeah.
is also crucial. Just
Yeah.
like a gardener has to prune a tree for healthy growth.
So true. Okay, so we've covered saving and budgeting, but let's be honest, saving money can feel a bit static.
Yeah.
How do we make that money work for us?
That's where the third cure comes in.
Yeah.
Make thy gold multiply.
Okay.
And this is all about putting your savings to work through investments.
I've heard that before, but the world of investing can be so intimidating.
Right.
Where do you even begin?
Well, Arkad highlights the importance of seeking guidance from experienced individuals. And he gives an example. His first foray into investing was actually loaning money to a shield maker named Agar. and then reinvesting the interest that he earned, which leads to something called compound interest.
Compound interest, that's that concept where your money earns interest and then that interest earns even more interest, right?
Exactly. Think about it this way. If you invest $100 and earn 10% interest, you'll have $110 after the first year.
Okay.
But then the next year, you earn 10% interest, not just on that initial $100, but also on that $10 that you earned.
Wow.
So it just grows
That's amazing.
faster over time.
So even small, consistent investments can grow significantly
Right.
over the long term.
Exactly.
That's a really powerful concept. But I can also see how it could be tempting to chase those quick returns and get involved in risky ventures.
And that leads us to cure number 4, which is guard thy treasures from loss.
Okay,
This is about investing wisely and protecting your hard-earned savings.
makes sense. So how does Arcad actually address this in the book?
Well, he really cautions against being swayed by romantic desires to get rich quick.
Yeah.
It's like that allure of striking it rich in a gold rush.
Right.
It might sound exciting, but the reality is most people end up losing their money.
Yeah.
And he really stresses that slow and steady growth is key.
So it's not about finding the next big thing, but making smart decisions that align with your risk tolerance and your long-term goals.
Exactly.
Okay, so far these cures have been all about managing money.
Yeah.
But what about using that money to build a secure and comfortable life?
That's where the 5th cure comes in. Make of thy dwelling a profitable investment.
Ooh, okay.
And this one is about the benefits of home ownership.
Okay, interesting. I've heard arguments for both renting and buying. What's Arcad's take?
He really emphasizes that owning your home provides stability.
Right.
It fosters pride and is a sound investment. And he kind of contrasts it with renting, where you're essentially paying for someone else's asset.
So it's about building equity, investing in something that will appreciate in value over time.
Exactly.
But isn't a house also a huge responsibility financially?
He encourages responsible borrowing. He believes that debt can be a useful tool as long as it's used for a worthy purpose and you have a solid plan for repayment.
Interesting. So he's not against all debt, just irresponsible debt.
Right, exactly.
Gotcha. So we've covered saving, budgeting, investing, and even home ownership. What about planning for the future? Retirement, unexpected events, that sort of thing.
Yeah, so that's where the 6th cure comes into play. Ensure a future income.
Okay.
This cure emphasizes planning for the long term and having a safety net in place.
Right, because nobody wants to work forever and unexpected things happen.
Exactly. He uses the example of Anson, a sandal maker, who consistently saved a small portion of his earnings over many years, 8 years. And by the end of that period, he'd accumulated this sizable sum that provided him with financial security and peace of mind.
Wow, so it's proof that even small, consistent efforts can lead to really significant results over time.
For sure.
It's all about building that foundation
It is.
for the future.
Yeah, and he even envisions a system where people pool their resources to insure against death, which is surprisingly similar to modern-day life insurance.
That's incredible for someone living in ancient Babylon.
I know, right?
That's so forward thinking.
Yeah.
All right, so we've covered a lot: saving, budgeting, investing, home ownership, even planning for the future. What's that final cure?
Okay, so the 7th cure is all about personal growth. Increase thy ability to earn.
Okay.
This cure focuses on continuous learning, skill development, and seeking new opportunities to kind of expand your earning potential.
So it's not just about managing the money you have, but investing in yourself.
Right.
That makes sense, especially today
Yeah,
when things change so rapidly.
exactly.
Okay, so how does Arcad actually illustrate this one?
So he gives this example of a young man who complains about his low earnings. And he's challenged to just save 1 coin per week, a seemingly small goal.
Yeah.
But this small act leads him to have greater discipline, which ultimately helps him increase his earning potential.
It's about those first steps,
That's
no
right.
matter how small they are,
Exactly.
just to build that momentum.
Right. And recognizing that your ability to earn is your greatest asset. And continuously improving
Right.
that asset is a sure path to long-term financial growth.
I love these 7 cures. They're packed with so much wisdom, and it's just amazing how relevant they are even thousands of years later.
I know, it's amazing.
But there's more to explore in The Richest Man in Babylon, and we'll continue our deep dive in the next part.
Yeah, we'll delve into the Babylonian perspectives on luck, and we'll uncover those 5 golden laws of wealth. These insights are surprisingly relevant
Yeah,
to our modern lives,
for sure.
offering timeless wisdom on achieving
Yeah.
financial well-being.
So stay tuned for part 2, where we'll uncover even more Babylonian wisdom.
I can't wait.
Welcome back to our deep dive into The Richest Man in Babylon. We've just explored Arcade's 7 cures for a lean purse,
Uh-huh.
which are basically a blueprint for financial health.
Right.
But the book also delves into other intriguing aspects of wealth building, like how the Babylonians actually viewed luck.
Yeah, Clason uses this gathering at the Temple of Learning,
Okay.
led by Arcad, to explore these different perspectives on luck. And it's a lively debate. You have people sharing stories and beliefs about luck.
So did the Babylonians think that luck was all about fate and pleasing the gods, or did they have more, I don't know, practical
Hmm.
take on it?
One attendee, a cloth weaver,
Okay.
shares a story of finding a purse full of gold.
Oh, wow.
And he's ecstatic, of course, but then he wonders how he can continue to be lucky, you know?
Yeah.
How can he attract more of these fortunate events?
I can relate to that feeling. Like when something good happens, you kind of want to know, like, okay, how do I make that happen again?
Right.
It's like trying to bottle lightning.
Right, exactly.
So what was Arcade's take on this? Did he suggest carrying around Lucky Charms or something?
Not exactly.
Yeah.
Archon challenges this idea that luck is purely random.
Okay.
While some might attribute it to the favor of the gods, he suggests there's also a more practical
Right.
element at play.
Okay.
He points out that in endeavors like farming, trading, craftsmanship,
Mm.
there's an inherent opportunity for profit
Okay.
because the chances of success are generally in your favor.
So if you put in the effort and you make smart decisions, you're more likely to see positive results.
Right.
It's like that saying, luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity.
Exactly.
But doesn't that also mean that there are situations where luck isn't really a factor at all?
Exactly. Arcade contrasts these endeavors with things like gambling, where the odds are intentionally stacked against the player. He uses the example of dice,
Right.
showing how the house always has a mathematical advantage. So it's a good reminder that relying solely on luck, especially in games of chance,
Yeah.
is not really a sustainable path to wealth.
That's a good point. So luck might play a role in some situations, but it's not something that you can totally control or depend on entirely. But then Arcade kind of shifts the conversation to instances where it seems like good luck slipped away.
Yeah.
Have you ever had that experience where you felt like you were so close to something great, but it just didn't work out?
I think we've all been there.
Yeah.
In the book, a merchant actually shares this story about how he missed out on a lucrative land investment because he hesitated to commit a portion of his earnings.
Yeah.
He was too focused on immediate gratification and missed the long-term opportunity.
It's so easy to fall into that trap, though,
It is.
especially when you're thinking about your short-term needs.
For sure.
But it reminds me how important it is to have a clear vision of your long-term goals.
Right.
And to be willing to make decisions that support those goals,
Mhm.
even if it means sacrificing a little bit of that immediate gratification.
Absolutely. And there's another story, a buyer of camels shares a story about almost purchasing a flock of sheep at a bargain price.
Yeah.
But he hesitated because of a minor inconvenience.
Yeah.
And by the time he was ready to buy, other buyers had already snatched at the deal.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
So both these stories really illustrate how procrastination and indecision can lead to missed opportunities.
Right. It's like that saying, he who hesitates is lost.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what are some practical steps people can take to be more decisive and not miss out?
Well, I think it starts with being clear about your goals and your values.
Right.
Because when you know what you want, it's easier to make decisions that align with those goals.
So true. Yeah, and having a system for evaluating those opportunities, weighing the potential benefits against the risks,
Right.
making a conscious choice.
Exactly. And Arcade really emphasizes this idea that, good luck often appears disguised as opportunity.
Okay.
And it's our willingness to seize those opportunities that determines whether we experience it or not.
So it's not about passively waiting for luck to strike. It's about actively positioning yourself to benefit from it when it does.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that leads us to a really pivotal part of the book,
Mm-hmm.
the 5 laws of gold,
Okay, here we go.
which are introduced through this traveler named Calabab, who's sharing Arcade's wisdom with his camel driver.
Oh, cool.
So it's really framing these principles as timeless.
Timeless universal.
Exactly.
Okay, so the 5 laws of gold, this sounds like the ultimate guide to
Right.
financial success straight from The Richest Man in Babylon.
Yeah.
I'm ready. What's the first law?
Okay. The first law is gold cometh gladly, an increasing quantity to any man who will put by not less than 1/10 of his earnings to create an estate for his future and that of his family.
That sounds familiar. It echoes Arcad's first cure for a lean purse.
Hmm.
Start thy purse to fattening.
Hmm.
Saving consistently is so crucial.
It is. Saving is that foundation on
Yeah.
which wealth is built.
Right.
And Kalabab actually illustrates this with the story of Nomasir,
Okay.
who is Arkad's son. And he's given a bag of gold and the 5 laws engraved on this clay tablet as a test to prove that he's worthy.
Wow, that's quite the test.
Right.
Okay, so how did Nomasir do? Did he pass with flying colors?
Not initially.
Whoa.
He actually makes a series of poor decisions, including a risky business partnership
Oh, no.
and some extravagant spending, and ends up losing all the gold his
Man.
father gave him.
So even the son of the richest man in Babylon isn't immune to financial mistakes.
It's true.
So what happened next?
Well, it's through those failures
Yeah.
that he ultimately learns the importance of the 5 laws. He realized that his initial disregard for saving was really the root cause
Right.
of his downfall.
That's a good reminder that we all make mistakes,
Right.
but it's how we learn from them that determines our success.
Exactly.
All right, so the first law is about building that foundation of saving. What about the second law? How do we make that gold work for us?
Okay, so the second law states, "Gold laboreth diligently and contentedly for the wise owner who finds for it profitable employment, multiplying even as the flocks of the field."
That reminds me of Arcad's third cure, make thy gold multiply. It's all about putting your savings to work through wise investments.
Precisely. Kalabab uses Nomasir's story to highlight this importance
Okay.
of finding profitable employment for your gold. So after losing his initial wealth, Nomasir gets a job managing slaves
Wow, okay.
and eventually learns to invest safely and profitably,
Good for him.
seeking guidance from experienced individuals that he meets along the way.
So he's not just throwing his money at any opportunity that comes along. He's being strategic.
Exactly. He's learning to be discerning and eventually recoups his losses and even surpasses the wealth that he was initially given.
What a comeback story. That's encouraging.
It is.
Even after a major setback,
Yeah.
it's possible to rebuild,
Uh-huh.
achieve financial success.
Exactly.
Okay, what's the third law?
All right, the third law. Gold clingeth to the protection of the cautious owner, who invests it under the advice of men wise in its handling. This law focuses on safeguarding your investments.
It's not just about making money, but also about protecting what you've already earned.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So Nomasir learns to prioritize preserving his capital. He avoids risky ventures,
Okay.
seeks advice from those with proven experience in handling money. He realizes that safeguarding his investments is just as important as seeking high returns.
It makes me think about diversifying your investments, not putting all your eggs in one basket.
That's a great point. Diversification is a key strategy
Yeah.
for managing risk.
Okay, on to law number 4.
All right, the fourth law states, "Gold slippeth away from the man who invests it in businesses or purposes with which he is not familiar or which are not approved by those skilled in its keep."
So stay in your lane, basically.
Right, exactly. So Nomasir's early mistakes, like investing in a business he knew nothing about,
Yeah.
illustrate this danger
Yeah.
of venturing into unfamiliar territory
Right.
without that proper knowledge or guidance.
So do your research.
Right. It highlights the importance of due diligence
Yeah.
and careful research before committing your resources.
Yeah, it makes me think about always learning and expanding your knowledge base.
Exactly. The more you know,
Yeah.
the better equipped you are
Yeah.
to make wise financial choices.
So true. Okay, ready for the fifth and final law.
All right, here we go. The fifth law is, "Gold flees the man who would force it to impossible earnings, or who followeth the alluring advice of tricksters and schemers, or who trusts it to his own inexperience and romantic desires in investment."
Wow, that covers a lot of ground.
It does.
Chasing unrealistic returns, falling for scams, letting emotions cloud your judgment.
It does. It's like a warning
Yeah.
to be wary of get-rich-quick schemes,
Right.
promises of impossibly high returns,
Right.
and those investments that are driven by emotions rather than logic and careful analysis.
So Nomasir, he probably initially fell prey to these things.
He did.
Trying to get those quick riches.
Yep.
But he learned the hard way that there are no shortcuts to wealth.
Exactly. This law really emphasizes the importance of patience and discipline
Yeah.
in investing,
Yeah.
recognizing that wealth building is a marathon, not a sprint.
So true. It's about making those informed decisions based on sound principles, not being swayed by hype
Right.
or emotions.
Exactly.
These 5 laws of gold are as relevant today as they were in ancient Babylon.
They really are.
They emphasize the importance of consistent saving,
Right.
prudent investing, seeking expert guidance,
Mm-hmm.
staying within your circle of competence,
Uh-huh.
avoiding speculative ventures.
Right.
These are principles that can guide anyone
Anyone.
on the path to financial well-being.
Yeah,
I love that. They provide a solid framework
Yeah.
for building and managing wealth.
for sure.
But The Richest Man in Babylon continues to offer even more captivating tales
Right.
and financial wisdom.
Yes.
In the next part, we'll explore the metaphorical strength of the walls of Babylon. And we'll delve into stories that highlight the importance of responsibility, debt management, and the profound value of hard work.
Can't wait.
Welcome back to our deep dive into The Richest Man in Babylon. We've covered so much ground from saving and investing to that Babylonian perspective on luck. But one thing that's really stuck with me is the metaphor of the walls of Babylon.
Yeah, the walls of Babylon are such a powerful symbol in the book. They represent the strength and resilience that we need to build in our own financial lives.
Exactly. Just like those massive walls protected the city from invaders, sound financial practices can protect us from financial ruin.
Right. Think about it. The walls of Babylon stood strong for centuries, repelling countless attacks. They weren't built overnight. They were a result of careful planning,
Right.
dedicated effort, and constant maintenance. Our financial well-being requires that same level of commitment.
It's such a good analogy. We need to build those financial walls through emergency savings, insurance, wise investments. We can't just hope for the best. We have to actually actively protect ourselves from those potential threats.
Precisely. And The Richest Man in Babylon really reinforces this through several engaging stories.
Yeah.
One that stands out is The Camel Trader of Babylon. It's about Dabavsir, a successful camel trader who's haunted by the shame of past unpaid debts.
Mm.
So he might be prosperous now,
Yeah.
but those past financial mistakes still weigh heavily on him.
It shows how irresponsible financial behavior can have some long-lasting consequences.
Mhm.
Even if you're doing well in the present, those past mistakes can still come back to haunt you.
Yeah, exactly. It really underscores the importance of building a solid credit history and avoiding unnecessary debt.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, Debezer's story is actually intertwined with another compelling tale, the gold lender of Babylon.
Yeah.
And this story introduces Mathon, a wise lender of gold, who offers some insightful advice on responsible borrowing and lending practices.
Yes, he does.
So tell me more about Mathon. What makes him such a wise lender?
Well, Mathon is a master at assessing risk.
Okay.
He understands that lending money to someone who can't repay it doesn't benefit either party.
Right.
He really emphasizes this importance of considering the borrower's ability to repay rather than just lending based on emotion or sentiment.
So it's not just about being generous.
Right.
It's about being smart and responsible with your money.
Exactly. To illustrate this point, he tells this story about a farmer who could understand the language of animals.
Okay, now I have to hear this.
Right.
What do animals have to do with lending money?
Well, in this story, the farmer overhears his ox complaining to the ass about how hard he has to work.
Oh, no.
Right. The ass, feeling sorry for the ox, advises him to pretend to be sick.
I see where this is going.
Right.
The farmer makes the ass do the ox's work,
Exactly.
which was not the intended outcome.
Yeah, not at all.
Yeah.
So Manathon uses this story to show those unintended consequences
Right.
that can arise from lending without careful consideration. So just like the ass ended up burdened with the ox's work,
Right.
a lender can be burdened with a bad debt if they don't assess the borrower's ability to repay.
It's a great analogy. Lending can seem like a kind gesture, but it can really backfire if it's not done wisely.
Right.
Now, to further illustrate this point of responsible lending, Meadows actually uses his token chest. This chest holds these tokens representing each loan that he's made.
Yeah, some represent safe loans backed by assets or a reliable income, while others represent riskier loans.
So it's like a visual representation of his lending portfolio,
Right.
showing the different outcomes of his decisions.
Exactly. It's a reminder that every loan carries a degree of risk, and understanding those risks is crucial for both lenders and borrowers.
This is a great takeaway for everybody listening,
Oh.
whether you're borrowing or lending. Now, The Richest Man in Babylon also introduces the clay tablets from Babylon.
Oh, yes.
And these ancient tablets, well, they reveal even more financial wisdom.
They detailed Abasir's journey to financial freedom. And what I think is really interesting is how his approach resonates with this modern-day archaeologist,
Okay.
Alfred H. Shrewsbury, who uses the same principles to overcome his own debt.
It's amazing how these ancient tablets still hold such practical advice for managing money after thousands of years.
Right.
So what did those tablets say?
Well, they outlined Abasir's plan. Allocate 10% for savings,
Okay.
70% for living expenses, and 20% for debt repayment.
That's a classic budgeting strategy. Prioritizing saving, controlling spending, making consistent efforts to reduce debt.
And what's inspiring is seeing Shrewsbury's enthusiasm for applying those ancient principles to his own life.
Right. It proves that these strategies can work in any era.
Exactly.
It's a powerful reminder that the fundamentals of financial success are timeless.
They are.
All right. We've covered a lot of ground in The Richest Man in Babylon, from saving and investing to responsible borrowing and lending. Is there anything else that we should take away from these Babylonian tales?
There's one final story I want to mention.
Yeah.
The Luckiest Man in Babylon. This one features Shahrunada,
Okay.
a wealthy merchant who returns to Babylon with Hadan Gula, the grandson of his former business partner. Hadan Gula, accustomed to this life of leisure, believes work is beneath him.
Oh,
No.
right. The entitled heir.
Exactly.
Okay.
He wants the wealth, but disdains the effort that's required to attain it.
So Shahrunada probably taught him a thing or two.
Da-da-da.
Hard work.
He did. Shahrunada shares his journey from slavery to prosperity.
Wow.
And his story really emphasizes that transformative power of hard work.
So what were some of those key lessons that Hadan Gula learned?
Well, Shahrunada talks about his time as a slave and the wisdom of a fellow slave named Megiddo,
Okay.
who believed hard work was the path to a better life.
Right.
So even in those difficult circumstances, a strong work ethic can make a difference.
It's not just about earning money. It's about building character and creating opportunities.
Exactly. Shahrunada's willingness to work hard and learn new skills earned him favor with his masters and eventually led to his freedom. His dedication also impressed Ardai Gula, Hadan Gula's grandfather,
Wow.
which led to a successful partnership.
It just shows that hard work can open doors and lead to opportunities.
Exactly, exactly. And the story concludes with Hadan Gula recognizing the true value of work
That's great.
and choosing to ride respectfully behind Shahrunada,
Ah,
symbolizing his embrace of hard work and self-reliance.
it's a fitting end to a story about the power of hard work. So The Richest Man in Babylon is more than just a collection of financial tips.
It is.
It's a story about character, wisdom, and those timeless principles that lead to success.
It's about taking control of your finances, making those informed decisions, and embracing a mindset of growth and responsibility.
It really has been an incredible journey exploring these ancient Babylonian tales, and I hope everyone listening is feeling inspired to apply these principles to their own lives.
Remember, financial success isn't about luck or chance. It's about consistent effort, disciplined habits, and a willingness to learn and grow.
And if there's one question to take away from this whole deep dive, it's this. If you were to write your own clay tablet outlining your financial goals, what would it say?
Let the wisdom of Babylon guide you on your journey to financial well-being.
Until next time, may your purses be full and your financial journeys prosperous.